dough, chaps. We've done our dough.
All right, welcome back to Odds, the racing and betting podcast, where we try and turn a profit each week and assess the upcoming races and turn what is a bit of a mystery into something a bit more understandable each week. This is one of the first episodes where we've got a very special guest in the studio. We're going to do a bit of a deeper dive into racing, and it's sort of aimed at people, I guess, a bit like me who know only one thing, the form guide, the numbers, the stats, but just don't know much about the racing side of things and really want to know a lot more. So today, special guest in the studio, he's the senior hand with Nick Ryan Racing, Tahl Lerner.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
So I guess first question would be, what made you want to get into the racing industry?
So I've always, I got into the industry quite late actually. I've always loved racing. I've always just loved the animal, loved the racing side of it, the punting side of it. And I've always known people that have owned horses, and through other jobs, I've got to meet a few trainers. Got made redundant from my previous employment, and I just thought I was doing a bit of website work for a trainer, just contacting owners and stuff. I really wanted to work with the horses, and I was thinking, this is my opportunity to do it. No experience, lived in the Caulfield area, sort of texted a few and called a few trainers. John Maloney got back to me, and I just started with him, just digging out boxes, learning the basics. He was just honest, you can take me on full time. So then I got a full-time job with Robert Smerdon, and that's where it was a very good learning school. Just had a very lucky, I had a mentor there that showed me the ropes and how to handle a horse, how to swim a horse, different things. And I was there for 2 years, and it was a great 2 years. We had a lot of fun, just a great group of people. We had a lot of very good horses that won Group 1s, the likes of Politeness and Shamal Wind and Under the Louvre, and it was just a really good time. And I met a lot of great people who I still keep in contact with today. And then got an opportunity to work for Godolphin, so I went there for 2 years. And then I got another opportunity to work for Lindsay Park. I was there for 2 years, and I've been with Nick now for 3.5 years, and it'll be 10 years in the industry September. Next month will be 10 years working in the industry, and yeah, it just has gone by like that. Yeah.
Congrats on the ride.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah.
I remember Shamal Wind. Did that have a lot of success in Moonee Valley over the sprint trips?
It did. Also won an Oakley Plate, which was my second week at Roberts, and we won the Oakley Plate. And Under the Louvre came second in the race. So we got the Quinella, and it was just an unbelievable vibe around the stable. And then she went to Ascot that year. She didn't run the race that they wanted. She missed the start, but just seeing how they prepared her for that was quite unbelievable as well. Yeah. Yep.
Is it different preparing horses for like a race at Royal Ascot?
Yeah, basically to acclimatise them. Like she was basically wearing 3-4 rugs just to acclimatise her to the conditions there. And it was basically the vets would come in and check her every week before she went. Bloods were done. She had to get her injections to you know what I mean. Vaccinations. That's the word I was looking for. And it was just amazing, and seeing the ride and how she was prepared and worked, and obviously a lot of media coverage around it as well. And just to watch her, I mean, she unfortunately missed the start, but it was just exciting just to see a horse that you're involved with running on the world stage.
100%. That would be. I was in. I did a big trip to Europe after I finished uni, 2012, and I had this big list of all these things I wanted to go to. So it was like La Tomatina Festival and Riding of the Bulls and like Tour de France. And I couldn't go to all of them, but one of the ones that I did go to, I was really happy, was Royal Ascot. And I saw, I'm drawing a mental blank now, Black Caviar run down straight. And I felt from memory that something went wrong for them during that race, something maybe 3/4 down the track, that maybe there was some sort of injury issue, and that maybe there was the horse pulled up a little bit, but it did enough to win. So I'm sure it's a very difficult thing to have that big preparation, go overseas, and then just hope everything goes right. And yeah, it must be a lot of nerves for the owners and for the trainers.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And it just was a bit. I mean, what I know from Black Caviar, she wasn't quite right going into that preparation. She was not like they were thinking not running her, but even Henry Dwyer this year with this S4 and it's been a good. Basically, a lot of the sprinters that have got there have got the results. So it's been Australian horse have got a good record over there. But yeah, I mean, just the whole build up and just see how they do on the track. Yeah.
When you transitioned from Maloney to Smerdon, was that a nervous time where you were sort of thinking, will I get another role? Or did you find that you were like really learning naturally and it was sort of inevitable that you would take the next step?
I sort of was a bit daunting, like you're going from a very small stable to a big stable and yeah, it was. And sort of like, how am I going to fit in here? But I was very lucky. I had a very good mentor that sort of took me under his wing and sort of pushed me and pushed Robert and the assistant. He's got what it takes. As I said, I had no experience and I was just like a sponge because I loved it. I wanted to learn. And, you know, my second week there, I was swimming under the Louvre politeness with him. And then basically by the third week, I was doing under the Louvre on my own. So it was just unbelievable. And not all newcomers to the industry with no experience get a mentor, but his name's Roger, and I still very mates with him these days. And he worked he was assistant trainer for Gay Waterhouse. He worked for John Hawke, so he was a lot of experience. And he was Robert basically wanted him to come to him, and he really got wanted him to come to work for him and lured him over. And he was just a wealth of knowledge, and I just thank him. And I always say to him, "You're the one. You're the Jedi Master." So, and it's just how you pick up the little things. And even when I'm 10 years in the industry, even when I do things, I still remember to what I was taught. And it's always in your head. It's always in your mind. Yeah.
That's so fascinating. So that leads on to another thing, is that for someone like me who hears the terms a strapper, a stable hand, a foreman, can you give someone like me a bit of an insight as to what the different duties are, or how the roles vary, or what they're sort of overseeing?
Certainly, yeah. So a strapper and a stable hand is sort of a combined role. The stable hand will sort of go around, will wash the horses, saddle them up, saddle them up for work, swim the horses. As some stables, we have a horse treadmill, do the and then some stables, the stable hands will have their 3 or 4 horses where they look after, they take to the races, or Nick, we just a few people have their horses they look after, but generally, like if a horse has to go to the races, someone will go. So then they'll help muck out the boxes and stuff, and then sort of go into senior hands where the role I'm in. We're saddling up the horses, just checking their legs, checking the ride, just liaising with the foreman, and then the foreman will liaise with Nick, or we liaise with Nick. I do a little bit of strapping around more at the stables now, just more kind of stables. So, and then we sort of oversee, just that everything goes smoothly with the foreman as well. Yeah, and a foreman is basically, some stables would have an assistant trainer and a foreman, or it's sort of the roles sort of intertwined into one in some stables. So our foreman acts as the assistant trainer, and then we liaise with him, and then it's just it's a well-oiled machine. Yeah.
Well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
And what time are you starting each day?
4:00 in the morning. Yep.
And rough finishing times?
So the morning shift goes till about 9:30. And then we have a little bit of a break in the middle, and then we come back at 1:30 and work till 3:30. So the main work of the horse is done in the morning shift, and in the afternoon we have a horse walk. They'll just have a walk, have a swim at the swimming pool, and we've got a picking yard, so we take them out for a pick of grass, which means they can have a munch on the grass while we're holding onto them on the lead. And yeah, it's just the afternoon shift is more just to get them out of their boxes and just doing something so they're not, in their boxes the whole day.
Were you always an early bird, or was that something you had to learn?
I had to learn. Probably previous jobs I'd be up at 7, 8 o'clock, but getting up at 3:15 every morning, it took a little while to get used to, but it just because I was so excited and enthusiastic and wanting to get to work and learn and work with the horses, it just sort of, I was up up, alarm goes off out of bed, and still like 10 years later, it's like same alarm goes off out of bed, and body clock, I can sort of, anytime I go to bed, even between 7:30 or 9:30, doesn't matter, or if I go a bit later, I'm out of bed, and it just, yep.
It's like that.
Yep.
Other. Is it, I guess with human athletes, you can ask someone how they're feeling and how they're tracking, and if they feel like they're improving, and with horses, they can't talk to you. So how much intuition or guesswork is involved in sort of tracking how horses might be improving through a prep or getting ready for a prep, or knowing when they've done enough work or a fit, or like what visible signs do you see versus what you're hoping is there? Things like that.
Yeah, so basically you can sort of see through the condition of the horse as well. So when they're coming back from a spell, they're big, they've had a lot of time off, and you sort of get by the way after their work, they're breathing. If they're having a big blow, which means okay, they're getting fit. If they're sort of getting through their work and not blowing out a candle, they're sort of ready to go. And then certain times also, like if a horse is fit and ready to go to the races during the prep, and they're going off their food, or you can sort of sometimes even look in their eye. Something's not normal because every horse has got their own personality and their own traits, and you get to know when they're on and when they're not on, and if something's not right, then sort of maybe I might have to back off something, or just maybe back the work off for a little bit, and just little things like that. Yeah.
Interesting. Is there anything that, as someone like looking in the mounting yard, the track, that as a punter and spectator, I should be looking for? Because at the moment, all I really notice is a gleaming coat or a bigger horse.
Yeah, definitely. A coat, a shiny coat is obviously, one of the best things to tell if a horse is on and it's healthy and feeling good. Obviously, during winter, during winter racing, most of the horses will have woolly coats. But if you can see a horse that doesn't really is not holding onto its winter coat, and sort of has a bit of an autumn or summer coat, then that horse is actually it's actually progressing well through its campaign. When the circumstances suggest that it should have a bit of a woollier coat. Obviously, a horse that sweats in the mounting yard is probably not ideal, but then again, some times if a horse sweats up, that's a good thing. But I find like 9 times out of 10 if a horse is sweating up, it's run its race in the mounting yard, and you sort of want to get a nice calm walk. If the horse is not jig-jogging on spot, that's probably good that it's not eager, and as again, and sometimes that is a trait of a horse that actually is ready, a horse is feeling good. But you just want a nice, smooth moving horse that's, not giving its strapper any trouble, that it's just got its head down, it's relaxed, and obviously when the jockey gets on as well, when it trots off to the canters off to the barriers, it's in a nice smooth motion, not giving the jockey any trouble.
Nice. What's jig jogging?
Jig jogging, like on the spot. So when the horse is sort of jig jogging, up and down while it's walking. So and it's sort of like sort of turning to the side or maybe leaning its head in, and it's sort of like that's probably a sign that it's not calm, and it's maybe just a bit eager to get on with the job. But generally you want a horse that's not sweating, with a nice healthy coat, a nice smooth walk, and then when the jockey gets on, it's not giving any trouble to the jockey and cantering to the barriers in nice fluid motion.
And sometimes when horses get to the gates and they're a little bit fractious, is that something that is like a personality thing, or it's something that they're sort of educated through, and once they're through it, they're through it?
Yeah, well, you sometimes get with the younger horses, or a horse having its first start, that they might be, even though they've been through the barriers and been educated, that they still might, the big day, and this is the barriers, but it looks kind of different. And but generally, the older they get, they know the routine, and But generally, you find, and even some of the older horses sometimes still have a meltdown and will just play up in the barriers. But generally, you find it with the younger horses that they're the ones that sort of would have a barrier issues at the races. But generally, once they get older, they and have a few races. And basically once they, the years go by and they get experience racing, that they find it fine. Yeah.
I remember one of the, as mentioned, I've never been a big someone who's like noticed how horses are moving and can sort of do a bit of work before a race. But I do remember Blue Diamond days, probably would have been about 10 years ago. I was there with my mate and we were there at Caulfield, as we often were, and did a quaddie. And we were both on that day. I remember that I picked the winner of the Underwood at about 20-1 first leg of the quaddie, and then pretty sure it was Star Witness maybe who won the Blue Diamond that day. And again, that was maybe 10 or 15-1, came from last. And then there was another leg where it was again 15-1. And we just happened to, in this last leg of the quaddie, have about 7 or 8 horses, and I'd picked a bunch, and it was all these horses I liked, but I hadn't done the form well enough, and I was just sort of, Chasm was in there, a few others, but not particularly suited that day. There was another one I put in called Be Positive that was around about 25-1. I just liked the name. And then we were both there super excited because the dividends were huge at the Mountie Yard. And then the favourite for the race was Tootsie. And we're both staying there. We've seen this horse walk out, and I've never been so starstruck in my life. This horse was so tall and so big and just looked beautiful, and we just had this, we both knew, our hearts just sunk. We both knew that we didn't have this horse and this was 100% going to win. And as it turned out, Be Positive did somehow have the lead, maybe with 200 to go, and Tootsie was sort of in a pocket, but something it got out, and once it got out, it was just, you knew what was coming. So it was the only time really, and didn't obviously go to our favour, but it was the only time where I thought, this is just case closed. Like, I know before the race, this horse is just ready to go. So I'll be a bit more, informed now. Getting on to gear changes. Yep. That's something I sort of wanted to talk about. I've got a very rough idea from doing the form. So things like blinkers, that's it, to sharpen a horse up and to keep it focused?
Yeah, blinkers basically just to get a horse to concentrate on what they're doing and just look, basically take everything so they can't see anything around them and just have their mind on the job. They're getting their head to the side, or they're just not, just looking around, not giving the, pulling, or it's just they're basically used to get the horse to get their mind on the job and just look forward and concentrate on its task. Yep.
And is it something where it's a bit 50-50, a horse may respond, may not, or they usually do?
It's a bit 50-50 sometimes, but I think the strike rate's pretty good. Some horses can overreact in the blinkers, especially the first time, even though they've worked in it.
Okay.
But generally, that switches a horse on, and basically when you see a gear change and blinkers on, that's a good sign that that the horse is there to win, and they really want to get the result. And to get the result, yeah.
Is it especially good if it's the first time they've got blinkers on?
Yeah. Well, mate, if they respond to it with the first time they got the blinkers on, that's a good sign, because maybe in their trials or in their gallops at home that they're not concentrating. But and generally if they've got it on in their first start, they'll generally have it till something the trainer wants to try something different, or absolutely, yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are winkers different?
Winkers block out so the winkers, they can probably still see 3/4, and it sort of blocks out the back.
The back?
Yeah, the back. So it blocks out basically from the eyes back, but they can still see probably 3/4 in front of them, yeah. Okay. It's sort of, it's another one just to make them concentrate, but just going back to the blinkers, if a horse overreacts with the blinkers on, the trainer might go to the blinkers next start. So it just gives them just it's a piece of gear that they make them still concentrate, but then they can sort of see a little bit.
Okay.
In front of them, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And next one, nose roll.
Nose roll. Horses that are getting their head up in the air a lot, it just makes them balance, so it just keeps their head down. The roll basically makes them just get their head down. It's sort of that's how the horse would react with a nose, and that's what it's for. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I've been on horses and they're sort of in the run, they might throw their head around. Is that sort of what
Yeah. Just basically keep their head still, not flicking like a horse that will have a big head carriage, and it just which means that they'll have their their head higher than normal in the run, it just gets their head back to normal level. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Bar plates.
Bar plates. So bar plates are a softer race shoe, mainly designed for horses with feet problems. So the aluminium shoes are used for races. That's what the horse is racing, and this is sort of a softer sort of aluminium, just softer on their feet. Just for horses that have feet issues. Yeah, so it's just an alternative race plate for horses with feet issues. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not necessarily a bad size. Just a certain horse might need those.
Correct. With feet, yeah. Basically, you see bar plates on a horse. The horse has had feet issues, still, can run, but yeah, just generally, the horse is just one of those things that they just have, just a softer foot, not quite as hardened underneath, and it's just basically to take the edge off their feet. Yeah.
And if they didn't have that, would they, after the gallop, they'd go home a bit sore and so not?
Yeah, that probably would be. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So it's just so they'd go on probably the couple of days before. Normally the horses around the stable wear steel shoes, which is a harder shoe, and then they would have probably wear those. An alternative. There's different alternative steel plates as well you can put on, but the bar plates, because they're so fine, that they'd only go on a couple of days before they race.
Oh, okay.
To save it from shifting, because it's very delicate. So if you turn a horse around and they pull that shoe, it's not really good, because it's a very delicate operation with the bar plates. Yeah. Yeah.
So you can't leave it on for too long, or something might.
Yeah, correct. And then you'd probably tape them up and leave them taped when you go to the races till they're ready to race as well. You tape their feet up and just leave the tape on, just elastoplast, so they don't shift it before the race. Yeah. Okay. It's a very delicate operation.
No, that's what I'm picking up. It's very delicate.
Yeah, correct. You just don't want them to shift that shoe. It's just not a good thing if they shift that bar plate. Yeah.
We've covered winkers, lugging bits.
Lugging bit is just a standard bridle that they race in. There are different types of bridles. There's Norton bits. There's tri bits, but they're designed for different tendencies of horses that again get their head up in the air. But the lugging bit is just a standard race bridle that they wear. It's just a standard. It's a standard ring bit. It's called a ring bit, but we use them in the stable when they just a normal. But they're the racing term for his lugging bit. Yeah.
Okay. And would every horse that races wear one?
Yeah. I'd say 90% of horses would wear a lugging bit when they race.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a Norton bit?
Norton bit is just a different bridle that would again, a horse that might get their head up in the air, or better, and also would have better control on the mouth as well, just to steer. Yeah, it's just a different type of bridle. It just with better control. On the horses. Yeah, that might just be a bit, It's just an alternative. Yeah. For that reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one, I guess, isn't exactly a gear change, but sometimes in races, I've heard horses referred to by commentators as getting on the wrong leg. I never really investigated that or understood it well. What does that sort of mean? Is that like sort of being left-footed or right-footed and then you switch? Yeah,
so it's basically turning. Basically, as well, you hear the term sit on their Sydney leg, on their Melbourne leg. So, I mean, it's basically that term is like a horse that from Sydney might not go might not be more comfortable anti-clockwise than it would clockwise.
Yep.
And then vice versa. But also with the turn, so they're basically, when they're turning, they're getting on their near leg, their near leg and their off leg, their far leg, and it's just switching. And sometimes if they're turning, they might not to take a turn as well. So, you hear, you didn't get it. You did, it was a bit difficult switching legs. Just basically when they're turning on the track, some turns they can get onto their legs better than other. They're off leg or near side leg. Yeah. A lot of straight horses that prefer a straight running down the straight would, probably wouldn't get on their leg. Find it hard to change legs. Yeah.
That's an interesting one because some horses are real straight, the Flemington straight specialists, and is that something that you just find out once you run in there?
Yeah, correct. Because there's no, there's only a few straight trials a year, jump outs a year.
Oh right.
Yeah. So I'll look at Flemington, and we have jump outs every Friday, and I'd say there'd be about half a dozen straight trials a year. So it's just a matter of seeing if the horse can run. Not all the horses adapt to it. I'd say percentage of them don't, but it's always a good alternative that your horse can run down the straight. So, yeah, instead of having a 1,200 metre race around turns, you can run down the straight. Yeah.
I'm trying to think because I know that there's a track in Perth that might be Kinjara where there is a straight, and then I think that Victoria Park in South Australia used to have one before that.
Yes.
Closed, so I'm not really, in my head, I'm not thinking of many.
No. Yeah, I think, basically, Flemington, I think, is the only has a straight track. Yeah.
So next question, I guess see things all in terms of odds and probabilities and whether it's races and sport and things. Is that do people who are working in a stable? I mean, I guess it must be such a different relationship because you're nurturing all these horses, and you wouldn't think of it in terms of this horse has a 5-to-1 chance of winning on the weekend or things like that. Is it sort of a foreign concept where you have to then, like, you get a horse prepared and then you think about, he or she may be favourite for this race that's coming up or not, or do horses have a personality or a view in your mind that, they're always going to be an outsider or they're a real underdog or anything like that?
You sort of get, you get a lot of feedback from the riders, from Nick, from the foreman, and you sort of, just to see how the horses are going, and also, you sort of know, if they're first up, second up, how they're going to go. Obviously, you know the horses are going to have a run, but then, you sometimes see that, horses that have been really, we've got a couple of maidens in the stable now that have just been running so well and just running into, and horses that are just finding one better, but have got their really foot on the till, and you just know that it's going to be soon. And then you get sort of horses that sort of maybe, we thought that they might be better than they were, that we sort of throw them in the deep end, but they're not quite up to it. And then you sort of bring them down a run. But also after their work, sometimes they can surprise you when a horse that you wouldn't expect to run well first, second up, and it's worked really well, and they just come out and run a blinder. So I sort of take that information in, like I like to get feedback and ask, and then you sort of know yourself, this horse is on, or this horse is probably not on, or so little just information like that. Yep.
Oh, sure. Does that translate into how a horse goes on race day? Like if I'm looking at a horse in a pre-race, if a horse is looking really good, will that translate into it running well, or would it still, like if a horse is maybe not up to the right distance yet in a race, or if it's sort of at the wrong part of the track to be really a top contender, if it's looking really good, is that sort of a bigger indication than say the form or say your own expectations that it's going to run really well, or can that be misleading?
No, I'd say 9 times out of 10, if a horse looks fit and healthy and it's in its right distance and its right grade, definitely it's on. But then it's a good sign. But then again, you get a lot of the smaller trainers that there might be a horse in the race at a 50-to-1 and it might look great, but then you've got Waller, Ma, Hayes, and their horses are the same, looking the same. That's where the money is generally. But then you get this small trainer and they could come and win. But because it's it might have been running well at the level and got its foot on the till at that grade. But if the Ma or the Hayes or the Waller horses are looking as good, then the money sort of tends to them. But you see it happen a lot. that the smaller trainers would get up with a horse that looks just as good at bigger odds in a race. Yep.
Is it often on TV? You'll sort of the commentators will make a point when like a trainer from the country brings a horse in the city or something like that. Is it really difficult when competing against the bigger stables?
100% it is. I mean, basically, even in 10 years in the industry, I mean, I knew Kieran. He used to have, when I was working with Robert, he had the N barn with about 10 horses. One of them was Jamaica. And just to see how he's grown is quite astonishing. And I know Kieran, I always say, he always comes and says, "G'day, Tahl." And, you know, I've known him since the Caulfield days. And it's just great to see him do so. And he's a great person and a great horseman, and just to see what he's done. But it is really, really difficult with these big juggernaut stables. But, I mean, there are a lot of great smaller trainers out there, really a lot of good horsemen, and they've got a horse that's good enough, and they can definitely get one over the big stables. In a race, 100%. Yeah,
I always love it when there's a boom horse from a small town that gets a lot of wins and gets a real momentum behind it. It's such a great. I guess that's what racing has always been about the battlers and taking on winning big. So I think there was one last Saturday called the Big Shamrock where it had won in the country and then they brought it into Flemington, and I wanted to be just on board just to support it. So I think it's I think it'll always get people's excitement levels up.
Definitely, most definitely. Yep, absolutely.
Is there sort of a favourite job in the stables or task that you particularly like?
I actually like swimming the horses. I don't know. I enjoy swimming them. It's just a very gets you away from the stable for a bit, because Nick likes to swim a lot of his horses after work for recovery, just to get the lactic acid down, and so they'll either have a swim or just have a hose and a walk, and then after they swim as well, they'll go on the walker. It's just to cool them down, get the lactic acid out. It's just a nice, just you and the horse around the pool, and also the skill of actually, teaching a horse to swim as well. I've had, a lot of experience, and just, maybe a horse that's quite tentative to go in, and the skill of just, teaching it to swim is quite rewarding, and they love it, and they love the pool. Yeah.
They thrive on being in the water?
They do. They love it. Yeah, they really like it. Yeah, yep.
And is that similar to what you hear beach work?
No, so they actually go to the beach. Nick is very big. Munimek goes to the beach 3 times a week. He's just an old marvel, that horse. He's unbelievable.
His form lately is this directly from?
Yeah, he's a horse that just loves his routine. He loves his stable. He's been in work over a year, even 15 months. He just loves his routine. He'll just gallop, he'll treadmill, and he'll go to the beach. He won't go on the poly tracks. He'll just have a gallop. His week is he'll have his gallop on his Tuesday or a Saturday. He'll go on the treadmill, and then he'll go to the beach, and that's his week. And that keeps him. But he goes, they love it. We take about 3 times a week. They'll go down to Altona Beach and just go, again, just a good recovery tool with their legs, the salt water, like the footballers you see go. It's the same concept. And we'll take 3 or 4 horses a day. 3 or 4 horses 3 times a week, and to the beach. But he's one that really loves it. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So you see the Security boys shivering down.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and then you'll see them just waddling through the water, and it's another great tool. Yeah, to recovery. Absolutely.
Well, man, okay. How do you teach a horse to swim?
They're basically taught at in the education process, but also I found when I worked with Robert that we were doing a lot of the teaching. So it's basically just getting them used to the pool. Slow steps, walk them in. Just let them have a look around, because there's a sort of, you walk in, there's a first where they stand, because obviously there's a horse in front of you, you've got to wait. Get them used to that. There's a little pool there. And I used to do this with my mate Roger at Roberts, and there'd be one of us on each side of them. It's just slow, and then they go in, and then, they're sort of, they sometimes they panicky a bit, but once they get to know and balance up, because it's obviously, it's like a little kid. These are babies as well. So you're doing it's like a little kid going to the pool. They're like, oh, what's this? But once they adapt to it and they balance up and they know they love it.
But just to see that work in progress, it's just small steps, education, little, walk them in, let them look around, let them sniff around, then walk them in and swim them. And then you'll probably have a tail rope on them, which teaches them to balance. So one person will be at the front and just a little rope at the back just to teach them to balance, to get their bum up in the air, not down. And 2 or 3 times of that, and then they'll be like fishes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you have a favourite horse that you work with?
Yes. I do. Probably the best horse I've strapped when I worked for Lindsay Park, a horse called Fartana. So I strapped him. He was a really good old gelding. I got the opportunity to strap him when he came back from Dubai. And he won the McEwen Stakes, and that was a big day. And then he ran in the Moya when he ran 4th to Nature Strip when it won. And I tell you what, on the turn, he was coming into the race, and I was thinking he was just beaten by a very champion horse. He would be probably my favourite horse that I've strapped. Yeah. I've lucky enough, I've had one stake every stable I've worked at. I've had a stakes winner. I haven't strapped a Group 1 winner yet, but coming, I hope so. But I've had a stakes winning horse at every stable I've worked at, so that's been pretty good. Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah, it's been very good. Yeah.
In terms of betting, like I mean, because it's such there's so much money bet on the races themselves. Do stable, and I mean, every stable must, have its own horses, an opinion of its horses. Is it hard to actually know when to bet on a horse? And like, if a stable gets excited about one of its chances, and you sort of say, okay, like this is the weekend, this might run well. But is that actually hard to do because you don't know what opposition you're going to be against, what every other and then you the old adage is don't bet on tips. We've all heard that, where someone screws something to you, you bet on it, loses. So does it ever happen? Do you ever? You sort of, if you basically only can control what goes on in your stable, and if you look at, you look at what you're up against. But if you've got a horse that's is working well and looking well and ready for the race, you can definitely, you definitely want to have something on. I'll give you an example. 2 years ago, Nick won the Echuca Cup with a horse called Not to Be Missed, and we had 4 winners that day. And then bet responsibly, basically with this topic. That's the ethos about podcasts: is bet responsibly. And
correct. But we had another foreman work for us at the time, and he said to me, Tahl, we're going to take 4 horses to Echuca for Echuca Cup day. Just save your pennies, because these horses are. And okay, no worries. I strapped one of the winners. There was a horse called Gold Spark, and the other horses that won were Not to Be Missed won the Echuca Cup. We had a horse called My Numero Uno that won, and a horse called Fiorente's Girl that won. And we all got the double. We took the doubles, we took the multis, and we all just cleaned up. It was the best. Just the fact that we got the 4 winners, but we had a good win on the punt, and it was Nick's birthday that day as well. So it was a great, just one of those one in a million days where everything just goes to plan. And we just, the rare times that it was a really, really good day. But if you know as well that your horse is working well, and it's got its foot on the till, and maybe just had some unlucky runs in its previous run, that you get confidence that and I'm not a big bettor, I'm a $20 bettor, but and it's got a good strike rate, so yeah.
Talk about the planets aligning with all this.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, but that's the best day I've had at the races since I've been with Nick. Yeah, that was really a lot of fun. Yeah,
just looking at your face.
And we were like, just going back to the next morning, it was amazing. We all went back to Nick's place afterwards, and obviously from Echuca, the Cup was race 7, and we were in the last race, so it's a 3-hour drive back to Melbourne. And we went to his house. He lives around the corner in Essendon, and Nick had the day off, but we all went we all just went to the stable and we had a chest pump. Everyone was congratulations and like. It was a really, really good day. Yeah, it was a really good day. Yep.
Amazing.
Yep.
Do you have a favourite track? Maybe I'm sure Caulfield's got a lot of memories, but do you have a favourite track, maybe like country that you've gone to? It's got good memory. I mean, that's obviously got great memories.
Yeah. Country track. No, probably not but Moonee Valley. I've had probably strapped my most wins at Moonee Valley, and I'd really like the Valley. It's a great atmosphere as well. But I'd say that would be my favourite track. And the country, not really a country track to be honest. No, not to be honest. But I mean, strapped a few winners here and there. Bendigo, I tell you what, Bendigo's a nice track to go to. That's a lovely track. Just a very big picturesque track. Wherever you can get a win is great.
Oh yeah, no,
wherever you can get a win is great. Yeah.
We touched on it before. Could you talk about the progression of what you would do in a day from sort of that 4 a.m. to the end, like whether there's always a certain order that things are done and what the tasks?
Correct. So 4 o'clock in the stable, either the foreman or myself or Nick, we get the feeders out, just see if they've eaten up overnight. Nick will do the work list. So the work list will go on the board. Basically, we normally have four riders that come in every morning. And the first four, we basically have the list of the horses that are going to go work on the track. There might be a list of horses that are swimming, a list of horses on the treadmill, beach horses. So we work in that order, and it's basically saddle the first four up. Riders will go out, next four will come out, and then saddle them up, put them on the walker. Riders come back, and then that's how the process goes. And then we sort of intertwine the swimming of the horses. So if we have a bit of time, if a horse is galloping that morning, we'll have a bit more time. So we might get a couple of the swimmers done in between after saddling the next lot. And then basically that's how the morning goes. Riders go out, riders come in, riders go out. And mostly once the riders are finished and all the horses are being washed and put away, the swimmers are done, the treadmillers are done, the beach horses will come back, and basically once that's all done, then we will, and then we have we have a couple of just the people that do the boxes. So they'll do the boxes, feed them, put their feeds in. Once they're all worked, we'll give them hay. So they get a big porter grazer of hay, which is like a big barrel that will last them through the day. So that just gives them just foliage, grass in their nutrition, just so they got that. On the side as well with their feed, just very good for their gut to maintain a healthy stomach is hay. And then that will get done, and then we basically just clean up. The vet comes in every day. Nick will do a vet list. Normally, we'll trot up horses a day before they race. 7 days out, we'll trot them up. Any issues with horses with late riders will report to the Nick. And then we're done by about 9:30, and they're all. And then basically, the middle from about 9:30 till 1:30, get a little bit of a break, and then you come back. We'll have, there'll be horses that will just go on the walker for a walk, horses that will swim, and we'll take out some horses for a pick of grass, just a bit of a nibble on grass, and then we feed them at the end, and then that's the day. They finish at about 3:30. Yeah. Yep. And then if I'm go to the races, it'll be probably a full day where I'll leave in the morning, and especially with the country tracks. We have to get to the races an hour early on race day and 2 hours in the city meetings. But yeah, that will be probably a full day with non-stop. Going to the races, come back, and yeah. So
it's a packed and
it is. It is. Yeah, 100%.
When you mentioned before, where like early on in that Oakley play, where it was correct me if I'm wrong, Shamal Wind under the lead.
Correct. Yep.
What was that like when that sort of happened so early?
Oh, it was a buzz. Like it's just like a kid in a candy store. Like wow, like how good is this? Like and it was just you're sort of like taking photos and sending to wow, okay, that's great. It was really really just a great buzz, and it was really really good and just to know what wow, these are the big races and the good horses winning the big races, and it was really unbelievable. Yeah.
I imagine Shamal Wind probably would have been sort of a favoured runner that day. Was Under the Louvre sort of more of an outsider?
Correct, yeah. So, I mean, I think Shamal Wind ended up paying about $10. So it was like fourth favourite, and Under the Louvre was about 50-1. So, yeah, so that was a really good run, and he was probably he was such a great horse to handle as well. He was just like a gelding, like, you know, he wouldn't bat an eyelid around a filly, or he was just a little dude. And when he won the Stradbroke in 2016, that was great because he had so many Group 1 placings. But yeah, that was a great day. That was a really good. I was there and just in a spectator capacity, which is great, and just to be in the inner sanctum as well. And with all the celebrations, that was really a lot of fun. Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah,
I imagine it's just from all the times I've been at Caulfield, in my mind, I always think that it's a bit more like it's better to be a leader, better to be on pace. From memory, was Under the Louvre a bit of a back marker?
Yes, he was a back marker. Obviously made him very hard to win races, but yeah, he came, the pattern had to go his way, and he flew home that day. But yeah, he was a back marker 100%. He got back and ran on, yep.
I can imagine down with a Stradbroke that racing pattern that suited.
Yeah, so it was unbelievable because Blackheart Bart beat him in the, was it the Goodwood? Yeah, I think Blackheart Bart beat him in the Goodwood, and then he had the weight swing. Was it the Goodwood or was it another one of the? Anyway, I think it was either one of the other Group 1s in Brisbane. Or might have been the 10,000. Might have been the 10,000. Was the 10,000? So Blackheart Bart just beat him, and then Under the Louvre got the weight swing in the Stradbroke, and if he got the race to suit, and he just stuck his head out, and it was worth because he deserved a Group 1. He was such a great horse. Yeah.
It's great when those horses that have just been so close and deserve it finally get.
Yeah, correct. Correct. Yeah. Unfortunately, never got to strap him, but but he was just a great horse to handle, and I swam him, a lot in the afternoons, and yeah, he was a little dude. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that are geldings just so much easier to handle in general?
Yeah.
The nature of.
Correct. So they've had they've had the ultimate gear change. They say the gear change, their manlyhood. Yeah, they are. I mean, you get most colts are pretty good, but you get your really colty colts that are just, you can't put them around a filly, or they'll just holler at everything, anything that goes past, anything, geldings, fillies, anything. But generally the geldings are more placid than the colts. Yep.
From when you started in the industry, the picture that you might have had in your mind of what it was going to be like, was it like that, or was it very different to what you expected?
I was early on. It was just very different. I thought it would be a lot, just a lot more to take in, and I can't. But once probably 6 months in the industry, it was like, oh wow, okay. I thought it was be a little bit more full on, but it's actually, as I said, I had a teacher teaching me along the way, which made it, was great. But yeah, no, it was. I thought it'd be a bit more daunting than it was. Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Then just wow. But yeah, maybe because I was enthusiastic to learn, that made it easier. Yeah.
What advice would you have for someone who might be in that same position, who was actually making a career change and was getting into it? Was this like looking back at yourself from that age, or to someone who'd be getting into it now? Is there any advice you'd have for them?
Go for it. If you've got I'm 44. I got in the industry when I was 34. So, and you look at it from like Dennis Pagan, who trained a Group 1 winner when he was 70. So, if you've got the passion, there are avenues to do it. And yeah, better late than never.
And then came Sweet Liaison as they turned for home. Jefferson, he's been in front every inch of the way. He's out like two.